Am I the e-hole for not inviting my wife to her stepdaughter's freshman college move-in? My ex-wife, 51F, and I, 50M, were married 18 years, right out of college. We had a good, functional, and loving marriage. But in the end, she decided it wasn't for her, and we amicably divorced. We had two kids, 18F and 19M. 6 months later, I met my current wife, 47F, and her son, 19M. We've now been married 8 years. She had a very tumultuous and abusive relationship with her ex. It's still volatile, and she hates him, only dealing with him when needed. My ex and I have a great co-parenting relationship and are friends. We only talk about kid-related things, except at kid-related events where we make small talk. We don't communicate much outside of that. My current wife and ex were pleasant and professional for a while. Several years ago, I was venting about my ex traveling a lot for work and having to pick up extra slack a little. Mind you, this was just venting, and I honestly love any extra time I get with the kids. Well, my current wife decided to text my ex-wife, basically calling her out as a bad mom and telling her to pick up the slack. I didn't really feel that way and felt it was out of place for her to do that. Since then, the relationship between current and an ex-wife has not been good and basically irreparable. They're professional, but my current wife hates my ex with very little cause in my book. We had to sit separately for my son's graduation 2 years ago, but sat together this year for my daughter's graduation. When it came time to move my daughter into college, I did not want that tension to ruin my daughter's bonding moment with her mom. College move-in day can be very emotional. I asked my daughter about my wife coming to move in, and she said it might be too many people. Granted, I admit that the way I asked the question was a little leading, but the tension between my ex and current wife is well known in the family. My wife wasn't invited to move in, and my ex and I moved my daughter in separate cars and only for a few hours. We did the same thing for our son last year. My wife didn't go because she was working. My current wife was livid, and weeks later it's still a sore spot and led to another blow-up last night, somewhat related to this. I admitted to my wife that it was a mistake and apologized. AITA for not having my wife move my daughter into college with her mom and I. AITA for refusing to allow a friend to continue to borrow my car. I, 47F, have a friend, 67F, who has recently become homeless along with her husband, 67M. They're staying with me while working on getting an apartment through a non-profit organization. I have two cars. One is a primary vehicle. The other is a backup. I let them borrow my backup car so they could go to appointments, look at apartments, and go to the grocery. They both have steady income from Social Security and a pension, so all I asked is that they keep the car fueled up, pay attention to maintenance issues, it's an old car, keep it clean, and drive safely. After 6 weeks, the car's side lights wouldn't turn off. I had to pull the fuse so the battery wouldn't drain. The car could still be driven in the day, but not at night or in the rain, so I told them, no night driving until I can fix this. The next night, they drove it. I was angry because if they cause an accident or get pulled over, it's my ass on the line. When I talked to them about it, they ignored and talked over me. I spent the rest of the next day fixing the electrical problem that her husband caused. A few days later, there was a flat tire and they couldn't figure out how to open the trunk. So I had to drive to them, open the trunk and change the tire. I noticed all the tires looked flat, so I checked them. They were all at 15 to 20 pounds per square inch. It's amazing all 4 tires weren't ruined. I also noticed the gas meter was at the halfway mark. I fill them up when the gas meter is at 3/4. I told them it was time to fill her up. They said, okay, sure thing. 4 days later, I went to get something from the car. I noticed a horrible smell and garbage all over my car. As I was cleaning it out, I glanced at the gas meter. Empty. By this time, I was furious. I finished cleaning out my car. The smell was a rotten banana peel under the passenger seat along with remnants of hemp they'd been smoking in my car, and took the car to get refueled. I checked my car's GPS history, and in the past 6 weeks, they looked at 4 upscale apartment complexes that the nonprofit organization definitely will not pay for. They refuse to consider apartments in poor neighborhoods, which is their only viable option. Every day they'd gone out to eat, went shopping at department stores, bought groceries at high-end grocery stores, went to smoke shops, and drove around in circles. I did the math and realized they have never put a drop of gas in my car. My capacity to care about their plight is now as dry as my car's gas tank. I trusted them with my car so that they could get back on their feet, not go joyriding and mess up my car. I took the keys and told them they don't get to drive it anymore, and they can take an Uber. Now they're refusing to look at apartments unless I drive them because Uber is too expensive. They still walk to restaurants. I've told them they need to be out in 2 weeks. Apartment, hotel, the street, I don't care. They say I'm being an asshole and a bad friend. So am I? AITA for refusing to drive my friend to class every morning after they sold their car to buy EDC tickets? Not the a-hole. My friend and I go to the same university, but we live in different neighborhoods about 30 minutes apart. Up until recently, we both drove ourselves. Last month, my friend decided to sell his car to buy EDC tickets and some merch for his favorite DJ. I thought it was kind of impulsive, but it's his money though. This week, he started asking me to drive him to class every morning, and I didn't mind giving him a ride once or twice when it was on the way. But then it turned into an everyday expectation. My friend calls me every night to make sure I'm still picking him up, and last night he called me again, and I hesitated. He didn't seem to get me there, and even he said, "Well, you're driving there anyway, it's not that big of a deal." But here's the thing, picking my friend isn't just a small detour. It adds about an hour to my round trip, and I end up rushing to find parking and settle before class. Also, he's not sharing some money for the gasoline. So I told him directly that I can't be his daily driver, especially since I have my own schedule and part-time job to juggle. My friend just kept saying, "It's not cool, bro, not cool." I reminded him that selling a car and buying EDC tickets was also not cool if you can't afford it, not my responsibility to cover for. Then he cut off the call while I'm still talking to him. I don't think it's wrong on my side, but I want him to be responsible and not use me as his daily driver. AITA for making kid cry at a B-Day party. A little context, it was my child's birthday party. She turned 7. We invited 10 girls, all in the 7 to 8-year age range. Next to the obvious snacks, sweets, play activities, I decided to do a couple of games where kids could win prizes. We did 8 games like bingo, pin the broom, etc., and had 8 prizes. It was a drop-off, but parents were welcome to stay if they wanted. One girl whose parent wasn't there was having a hard time every time she lost, didn't win. I comforted her. All the girls did, and my daughter even gave her a little toy of hers to keep. Overall, it was a fun party. The next day I talked to the girl's mom, who is a close friend of mine, and asked her if her daughter had a good time and if she was okay, mentioning that she had a couple of meltdowns. The mom asked me if there was a prize for every girl, and I said no, just 8 for every win. But of course, there were party favors at the end of the party. The mom was a little upset, but nothing too bad, and I thought that was that. Then after I canceled a play date, she texted me that I have made her kid upset, cry twice this week. Needless to say, she was having feelings about it. I met up with her and told her that I'm not responsible for her child's reaction or feelings. She disagrees. It was my choices of not having a prize for every kid that made her upset, and that was not okay. I think she wants an apology from me, but I'm over here just thinking, in what world is it okay to blame your child's feelings on someone else? She also said that it was supposed to be a fun time for her, but now she got a lesson on winning, losing from me, and it wasn't my job because I'm not her parent. I'm just, wow. No words. More info. Canceling the play date was unrelated to this, hence she texted me after canceling the play date. "You've made her cry twice this week," and 6 out of the 11 girls won a game. Girls started crying after round number 2, cried every time she lost until my daughter gave her a prize somewhere around round 5 to 6. Am I the a-hole? AITA for paying for my dog's surgery instead of helping my girlfriend's sister with her rent. I have a dog that's on the older side at 9 years old, and a few weeks ago it lost the use of its back legs. I had to get surgery for him because I was not getting him put down. All in all, it came to £8.5 thousand, all of which I had to pay out of pocket for. This wasn't a huge problem because I have plenty saved up, and in general, I am well off. Here's the issue. My girlfriend's sister has been struggling with rent. Apparently, she's behind by a few months and panicking about being kicked out. When my girlfriend found out what I paid for the surgery, she got really upset with me and said I was selfish. Her words were along the lines of, "You'd spend 8 grand on a dog, but you won't even help my sister keep a roof over her head?" Since then, my girlfriend has been pissed off with me and keeps calling me cheap and selfish for not helping her sister. I feel like I shouldn't have to suffer for another person's poor life choices. The reason her sister is in this predicament is because her relationship fell apart and she's living in a place she can't afford. Further to that, I own a 4-bedroom home and my girlfriend suggested her sister moving in with us. But I refused. Am I the asshole for refusing to help her sister? If you have made it this far in the video, share your thoughts and your favorite story in the comments and subscribe for next week's Reddit stories.